Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hi, everyone.
So today we are plunging into a really fascinating set of source materials.
Yeah, it's quite a collection.
It's all examples, really, focused entirely on everyday English conversation practice.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the formal textbooks for a second. This is, the real stuff. How people actually chat.
That's right. And what's great about this material you've brought us is it gives such a practical, ground-level look at things.
Right.
You know, how native speakers actually navigate those common day-to-day conversations covers a whole range of topics.
Yeah, it really does.
Sort of strips away the complexity, shows you the core exchanges.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, it seems pretty clear.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack these examples. We'll pull out the most useful phrases, the structures, and really try to show you how these seemingly simple building blocks are what create fluent, natural conversation.
Right. It's about seeing the mechanics that the source itself reveals. And the goal, I think, is to extract those essential nuggets. You know, the questions, the answers, those simple phrases.
The go-to lines.
Yeah, but maybe more importantly, to understand the situations where they fit naturally.
Okay.
As the source presents them, and why they work. We want to get at the underlying patterns.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the source material, it starts right where you'd expect. The basics.
Greetings.
Greetings, yeah, exactly.
Hi.
And it doesn't overcomplicate it, which is nice. It just shows the simple exchange.
Yes. The collection highlights the super common, hey, how's it going?
Right.
And the equally common reply, good, thanks. How about you?
Can't escape that one.
No.
Yeah.
And what's insightful, I think, based on how the source presents it, is the speed. And the reciprocal nature. It's less about getting, a detailed life story.
Right, yeah.
And more about just a quick connection and immediately turning the question back.
It's like a little social ritual.
Exactly, shown right there in the examples.
That's a really good point. It's not some deep interrogation. It's just acknowledging each other. And then, building on that initial connection, the source immediately moves into another cornerstone of casual chat.
Asking about plans.
Asking about plans.
Right. And the examples are, again, very straightforward. Like, what are you up to this weekend?
Or what are your plans for today? Stuff like that.
Yeah. And the source gives simple answers. Not much, just relaxing at home. How about you?
There it is again.
Or, I'm going hiking with some friends. And this reveals a key pattern, doesn't it? Simple, open-ended questions. Brief, informative answers that, crucially, keep the conversational door open.
And that how about you keeps popping up.
Exactly. Reinforcing that back and forth pattern we saw in greetings. It's all about reciprocity.
See how it's showing that give and take? It's not just like isolated phrases, it's how they link.
Right.
The source also gets into the language needed for navigating the interaction itself, beyond just swapping info.
Yes, and this is where it gets, I think, really interesting. The material shows us phrases for agreeing or disagreeing politely.
Okay.
For agreement, you've got simple stuff like, that sounds great, or I totally agree. Pretty standard.
Sure.
But the really useful nugget here, I think, is in the disagreement.
How to do that smoothly.
Exactly. The source offers phrases like, I see your point, but, or I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
And this demonstrates a key strategy, doesn't it? Acknowledge the other person's point first.
Before you jump in with your own view.
Right. It softens the disagreement, which, the source implicitly shows is pretty vital for smooth interactions.
That nuance is just so important, and seeing it in specific examples from the source really helps.
Definitely.
Speaking of practical tools, asking for and offering help. That's another key area the collection covers.
Absolutely. The source presents these direct but polite phrases. Could you help me with this?
Or, would you mind helping me?
Yeah. And the replies show willingness. Sure, what do you need? Or, of course, I'd be happy to help.
Seems simple enough?
Well, it highlights that often getting help is as simple as a clear, polite question.
And offering it is just as straightforward.
Pretty much.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Seeing the source actually simulate specific common scenarios, like ordering at a cafe.
Yes. It breaks this everyday task down into its, essential language bits.
How does it lay that out?
So the source gives us the customer's opening. Hi, can I get a medium coffee, please?
Standard.
Then the barista's key clarifying question. Sure, would you like any milk or sugar with that?
Okay.
Customer's concise reply, just a little milk, thanks.
Short and sweet.
And the simple closing. Got it. That'll be $3.
Right.
The brilliance here, and the source's structure shows this, is how few words are actually needed.
To get the job done.
Exactly. It's direct. Uses those key politeness markers like please, thanks, and it just follows a predictable flow. Very efficient.
That example really shows how much is conveyed with minimal language when the context is clear, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So the source then jumps to how people talk about, what they do in their free time, hobbies, interests.
Right. It offers phrases for sharing. I like to relax by reading a book, or I usually go for a run, using structures like I enjoy or I like to.
Okay.
But what the source shows here is how these statements often come after questions.
The setup.
Yeah, like what do you usually do after work? Or what do you like to do in your free time?
Got it.
It just reinforces that question-answer engine that seems to drive conversation, opening doors to find maybe common interests.
Exactly. And that dynamic, it just continues across this huge range of daily topics the source presents. Like, think about universally common ground. The weather.
Oh, yeah. The collection gives us simple observations. It's pretty sunny today. Looks like it's going to rain.
Easy enough.
And the simple question to kick it off, what's the weather like where you are?
Right.
It shows how weather chat can be a quick, safe way to start a conversation or, fill a pause, just using basic descriptions.
Very useful. Traveling's another big one people connect on.
For sure. The source provides structures for asking about past trips. Have you ever been to?
Like, have you ever been to New York?
Yeah. With simple replies. Yes, I went last summer. Or, not yet, but I want to.
Standard Q&A.
And importantly, it also covers future hopes. Where do you want to travel next? I want to visit Japan. The source shows how travel talk just moves easily between past experience and future desires using these straightforward question and answer forms.
It seems very flexible. The source also touches on opinions, right?
Yeah.
How to ask for and share a simple viewpoint without needing like a full debate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The material shows asking like, what do you think about? Using maybe, what do you think about the new movie?
Okay.
And basic replies like, I really liked it. It wasn't my favorite,
Yeah.
Or, I think it's very interesting. This demonstrates that sharing an opinion in casual talk often just involves a simple statement of preference or a general impression.
Like the source examples show. Not complicated.
Not at all.
Shopping conversations, another practical area covered.
Right. Asking about price. How much does this cost?
Or availability.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have this in a different size?
And the source gives the direct answers. It's $20. Yes, we have it in medium and large.
Very functional.
It shows that efficiency needed in those transactional exchanges, kind of like the cafe example again.
Right. Parallels there. And extending that to food. Discussing preferences or ordering.
Yeah, the source gives us examples of expressing taste. I love Italian food. I'm not a big fan of spicy dishes.
Simple statements.
And practical ordering. I'd like the chicken sandwich, please. Can I get the salad without dressing? This just highlights how personal tastes and practical needs are communicated directly, often with, simple declarative sentences or requests.
What's becoming really clear, I think, looking across all these examples in the source material, is the power of just pairing simple questions with simple, relevant answers.
Absolutely.
Daily routines are another example of this pattern, right?
Yes, stating facts about your day. I usually wake up at 7 a.m. I go to bed around 10 p.m.
And the questions are simple too.
Yeah. What time do you usually have breakfast? Or what time do you usually wake up? The source shows how these basic facts create common ground.
Let people understand a bit about each other's lives.
Exactly.
And similarly, talking about work.
The standard opening, as shown in the source, what do you do for work?
Yep.
Followed by a simple job title or field. I work in marketing. I'm a software developer.
Straightforward.
And the material then shows how this can extend to brief mentions of specific work details, maybe meetings or projects. Again, using concise language.
The source also covers leisure, like movies and TV shows.
Oh yeah, a very common area for small talk. The collection shows questions like, have you seen that movie? Or what's your favorite show?
Okay.
And answers sharing preference. I'm watching a new series. I'm really into comedies right now. Or just stating genres. The source highlights how these shared cultural touchpoints are just easily discussed with simple inquiries and statements of liking.
Giving directions is maybe one of the most purely functional areas the source material covers.
Absolutely. It really boils it down to essential commands. Go straight, then turn left.
Right next to the bank.
Exactly. And the initiating questions. How do I get to the library? Or where is the closest coffee shop?
Right.
The source reveals that clear, simple instructions using landmarks and basic verbs are key here. No need for complex geography lessons.
Definitely not. The source also touches on more personal topics, but still using simple language, like talking about feelings.
This is important, yeah. The material shows simple check-ins. How are you feeling?
Okay.
And direct, basic answers. I'm feeling tired today, I'm a bit stressed but managing, or I'm feeling calm and relaxed.
So you don't need a huge emotional vocabulary.
Well, the insight here, based on the source examples, seems to be that you don't need elaborate vocabulary in casual talk. A few basic phrases often suffice to convey your general state.
Makes sense. And family comes up too.
Basic questions. Do you have any siblings?
Simple statements.
I have 2 brothers. My parents live nearby. The source shows how these questions provide an easy entry point into a common, relatable topic.
Okay, so looking at the source as a whole, it really seems to emphasize the language of planning and connecting for the future.
Yes.
It has dedicated sections on future plans, invitations, making plans with friends.
That's right. Building on that earlier discussion of simple plans, the collection shows phrases like, I'm going to start a new job next month, or I plan to learn French. Often in response to, what are your plans for the future? Right. It also covers invitations. Would you like to join me for dinner? Are you free this weekend?
And actually making the plans.
Yes, making specific arrangements. Let's meet for coffee tomorrow. Do you want to hang out later?
Okay.
The source demonstrates how these simple questions and suggestions are really the engine for social connection and, future interactions.
And it even covers specific interests like music and books, using that same familiar pattern.
Yeah, that question answer pattern again. What kind of music do you like? Oh, I listen to pop music. My favorite band is Coldplay.
Or books.
Do you like reading? I'm reading a mystery novel. My favorite author is Jane Austen.
Right.
The source shows how asking about interests just opens doors. Finding shared passions, maybe learning something new about the other person, all with very accessible language.
And the material also touches on topics like education, technology, pets, even festivals.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground.
Demonstrating that this simple question-answer structure just applies across this vast array of subjects.
Well, what's truly striking, I think, when you look at the entire collection is the consistency.
How so?
The source repeatedly shows that successful everyday conversation isn't really about complex grammar or, obscure vocabulary.
It's built on something simpler.
It's built on a foundation of simple, direct questions and answers, those politeness markers we talked about, and just a willingness to engage in that reciprocal exchange. That question-answer engine is powering almost every single interaction shown.
Yeah, that's definitely come through. This deep dive into the source material has been incredibly insightful.
Good.
Not just for the sheer variety of everyday conversation topics. It covers, everything from ordering coffee to talking about feelings and future plans.
Right.
But for those underlying patterns it reveals.
Exactly. And the key takeaway, I think, from this whole collection is the immense power contained within those seemingly basic questions and answers. Phrases for greetings, asking about plans, agreeing, disagreeing, asking for help, discussing interests, giving directions, talking about work, feelings, travel, family, daily routines, shopping, food, movies, weather.
Wow, yeah, the list goes on.
Technology, sports, education, past experiences, likes, dislikes, future plans, invitations, holidays, music, books. While simple, they are presented in the source as the absolute bedrock.
The foundation.
The foundation of connecting with people in English, yeah.
And a crucial point, I think, is that the source material showed these phrases in action.
Yes.
Not just as definitions, right?
Yeah.
Often structured specifically as those simple question and reply pairs. It demonstrated the natural flow you'd actually hear.
Yes, exactly. And there's an implicit message, I think, in the source's entire presentation.
Which is...
By providing these clear, simple examples across so many contexts. It's essentially a handbook for practice. The simplicity isn't a limitation. It's the very feature that makes them ready-to-use tools. They're meant to be used repeated.
Right. Practice makes perfect, or at least fluent.
Something like that.
Okay, so here's something to consider then, drawing directly from the practical wisdom in this source material we've been discussing.
Okay.
How can truly mastering these seemingly small conversational pieces, the simple questions that open doors, the direct replies that build connection, how can that unlock vast new opportunities for communication and understanding in your own life, one simple exchange at a time?